After Reasonable Doubt, I thought it was gonna make one album, be done, but then we signed a contract with Def Jam, and it was like, you're the only guy who came out on this label. We're not buying a label with no artists. Like, so I had to sign that contract. So that delayed it for 7 years right there, and so it was. I always had that in the back of my mind, and then I got to a point where I was like, man, this is I don't want to ever just do it to do it. And then it was this opportunity. So those two things combining led to the retirement. And then, of course, the love for it. Like with anything else, the love for making music, you know, and start pulling you back to the studio. And it was like, yeah, for me, I was happy about it. Because I was like, yeah, that's the feeling I want. You know, I want to go in with making an album. I want to have something to say and feel like I need to do it, as opposed to it's November and, you know, put an album out, you know. That admiration when people look at me and say, you know, like, the first black president, right? Because for me, like I said, when I walk in the room, I represent the culture. I love the culture, and you know, I love to honor it in that way. So when people look at me like that, you know, it just gives me more motivation to keep, you know, to continue to open doors for that next generation of artists. Like I said, this is the thing that saved my life, hip-hop. You know, I don't know where I would be without it. There were no backup plans, you know. So for me, it's very important. And when people recognize that, you know, it just lets me know that I'm doing the right thing. And, you know, I accept that. And once again, I'm not perfect, and I'm gonna do some dumb shit, like say shit on the thing and everything. But, you know, I accept that as well. Like, people should learn from my mistakes as well, not only my successes. You know, that's the beauty of living a life. I'm not a perfect guy. You can take whatever out of it that you choose that applies to you. Some things that I've done will not apply to you, and I made, by the grace of God and whatever angels that I had over my shoulders, I made it through. You may not make it through that same hole, but if you could take what I've done and then perfect on it, then, you know, that's great. As far as the people on Blueprint 3, it's once again, it's still a work in progress. It comes out September, so I still have about a month or so, well, a little over a month to put it together. But as of now, the foundation was made, and I don't think that'll change. The foundation was made by me and Kanye, then Tim, me and Kanye, and then No ID. Working with Kanye, and Tim came and added a whole another element to the album. You know, he brought something incredible and fresh to it, and Just has been calling me lately to try to figure out how we can get together and do something. So I don't know what happens, you know, because 2 or 3 records change an album drastically for me. You know, 2 records could remove 4. It's just like that with me and how I make records. There absolutely will not be another Big and Pac. There will never be another Bob Marley. Right? So that's pretty much the equivalent. And a lot of that is factored as well. You know, they're immortalized, like Kurt Cobain. You know, like James Dean. You know, you never got to see it. You know, they're in the capsule of perfection. Right, so you never got to see them slip or, you know, make bad albums or, you know, things like that. You never got to see human qualities, right? You know, it was just superhero perfection, and it's all in the bottle and it's closed. That's it, forever. There's no changing that. So that's a very difficult thing to do, to beat as an entertainer. I mean, the price you pay for that is too much. You know, no one wants that. I have plenty of favorite rappers. That's the difficult thing. I'm excluding Biggie and Pac because that's something on everyone's list, and I mean for reasons that everyone knows. I have Rakim, and I think Rakim was he had the biggest gap from artists recording next to him at the time. I think everyone was on he was on a different wavelength. When everybody was rapping and don't suck back. And I went Ram, I said Day, and I did and I thought Run and Run DMC. I thought Run was the first person with the most charisma on stage that we've ever seen. But he was rapping when Run was rapping like with my Adidas. Kim was rapping like I'm Arsenal. I done the lyrics. He was rapping so far ahead of everyone else at the time that I don't think there's ever been a rapper with a bigger gap. You know, when there was Biggie, there was Pop. When there's Jay, there's Nas, and you know there was always somebody right there in hip hop. When it was Rakim, it was Rakim. You know, Coogee Rap was from that school as well. Big Daddy Kane was what he did was what he perfected. That those guys, that his strength over those guys, it was in crafting songs. You know, Smooth Operator and Ain't No Half Stepping, and he was such a great. He had the full package. He can rap and he can make songs. I think that was his contribution to the game. And Slick Rick was just the best storyteller ever to this day. Just his accent alone, just forget about it. Like he was just the arrogance of what he was saying. And who would sing Michelle My Belle from the Beatles in a rap song? That's just leave him alone. Modern day, there's Andre 3000. His choice of topic is and his range is incredible. Eminem, you know, to be a white guy in a field that's dominated by black guys. And just I'm gonna say African American. That's so corny. It'll be a white guy. He's like the Tiger Woods of it. Like he's well deserved. It's not because he's white. It's because of the subject matter and what he writes and the patterns he creates. You know, they're incredible. Of course, there's Nas. I think Illmatic being one of the best albums, you know, ever created. The guy who's on top just moves away for the next person that comes along. That doesn't happen. And I mean, who's to say if any person, say it's not me, let's say Nas decides to go on a Caribbean island, who's to say that's your spot? Why is it your spot? Because it's vacant, right? You have to compete anyway. So at least put yourself in a position to be in that category. And we don't decide. The guys who are in power, we don't decide when it's our time.